This woman simply blew into a strange whistle from the ancient Mayan era. And on Halloween night, she was hunted down by a spirit, eventually turning into an extremely aged corpse, because the moment you blow that whistle or even hear it, you're marked by death. Chris told Dean the truth, but he refused to believe it, and even more so refused to accept that death had already set its sights on him. Late that night, a drunk Dean stumbled back home, but just as he reached out to turn on the light, to find a way to break the curse, Chris and Ellie went back to see Tanner's grandmother. By now, she was barely clinging to life. The old woman told them that once death is summoned, it will never stop until it takes the soul it came for. But there is still one way to change death's path.
Offer and choker. A new sacrifice.
If you mark someone else with your own blood, death will switch its target. Even though they now knew how to transfer the curse, it was basically the same as killing someone. Kind-hearted as they were, Chris and Ellie simply couldn't bring themselves to do it. But Rel had already chosen his target. Just the night before, Rel had learned how he was destined to die. Working part-time at a steel mill, he would eventually be pulled into an industrial crusher during an accident. He refused to let his life end in such a horrific way. Early the next morning, when Dean's parents opened his bedroom door, they froze on the spot. The room looked like the scene of a brutal car crash, except this was clearly just a bedroom. Meanwhile, Rel arrived at a church, and the man standing before him was his chosen scapegoat, Noah. This man preached in the name of God while secretly doing all kinds of terrible things, so Rel felt zero guilt about killing him. Even with Noah pointing a gun straight at him, Rel couldn't help but smile.
What's so funny? You don't get it. I don't die this way. Shit.
Late at night, Rel tied Noah up at the steel mill. Noah begged desperately for his life, but Rel sliced his own palm with a dagger. Death was closing in. All he had to do was smear his blood onto Noah, and it would be over. At that moment, Chris and Ellie arrived on the scene. They pleaded with Rel to stop. Even though Noah was guilty of so many sins, it was God's place to judge him. Rel coldly replied, "Then I'll be the one to personally deliver him to God." But at the last second, he stopped. After all, he was just an ordinary person. He didn't have the courage to take a life with his own hands. Rel turned away in defeat. But for him, it was already too late. The next second, his body seemed to be pulled into an invisible industrial crusher, instantly turning into a cloud of blood and mist. There wasn't even time for them to grieve right now. Survival was all that mattered. If they couldn't escape death, they would have to die on their own terms. Ellie had diabetes and always carried insulin in the car. They made their way to a repair room, which happened to have a heart defibrillator. Chris dragged over a metal tub filled with ice water. Only under the combined effects of a high dose of insulin and extreme cold could the heart be forced to stop temporarily, as the entire vial of insulin was injected into her body. Soon, Chris lost her heartbeat and was pulled out of the ice water. Ellie immediately injected her with glucagon and activated the defibrillator. But there seemed to be no response. Meanwhile, the bound Noah broke free. He grabbed a gun, ready to take his revenge on them. At the same time, Ellie felt death closing in around her. Suddenly, Noah fired a shot through the door crack. The bullet struck the defibrillator on the floor and ricocheted into Ellie's body. She gritted her teeth through the pain, calling out Chris's name over and over. On the other side, Chris, fueled by an overwhelming will to survive, finally broke free from death. At that moment, Noah burst through the door, gun raised, advancing on them. But when he saw Ellie's blood spilling out, he instinctively reached out with his fingers. In the darkness, a terrifying figure appeared before him. Panicked, Noah fired several shots. The next second, every single wound appeared on his own body. 3 months later, their lives finally returned to some sense of normalcy. On graduation day, the girl stepped onto the stage, ready to perform a violin solo, but she set the violin aside. Then she pulled out a different instrument.